What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and good morning to you all. Well, good day to you all, and happy July to you all, because of course we're now starting off the month of July, and I want to start off the month of July with a very, very big deck. Of course, one of my favorites and my favorite archetype, the Harpies. So this is a retro deck profile, as you guys can see in the title, and this is actually Carlos Arahi's deck from Yu-Gi-Oh's San Paulo champ what was it, YCS event back in 2014, March 8th 2014. And there is a lot to talk about with this deck, and there's also a lot to talk about of how he ended up winning the event. Basically, in short terms, during the earlier parts of 2014, they were doing still draft events for a lot of the TCG events during that time. And there were some that did the top cut day one and then they played draft the next day, or they played draft for the top 16 and then to get to that position they played with their actual decks going into it. So it is weird to say that there was not appreciation for Carlos topping with his Harpie deck because, well, it was Harpie, and then also because it was the excuse of, well, it was draft to get to the top 16 or to the top cut, and then he won the top cut because nobody knew exactly what everyone was playing, and then it was, a whole bunch of this and that. And basically just hating because there was someone playing Harpie and they weren't playing the Mermail, the Firefist, the struggle of the dragons and stuff like that. So it is what it is, but you take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, we're looking at this deck, we're still looking at its pieces, and I have to honestly say there's a lot to unfold here, but don't worry, I will go through it with ease. So, why don't we go ahead and we go through this. So this is Carlos's build of Harpies from his win at YCS Sao Paulo. So, we have triple copies of Harpie Channeler, followed by triple copies of Harpie Dancer. Then we have two Cyber Harpie Lady with one Harpie Lady 1, two Harpie Dancer, and one Harpie's Pet Dragon. Hold on, I want to move this up just a bit more so we can have some room. There we go. Then, the last of the monsters in the deck are two copies of Card D. Alright, so that is it for the monster lineup. For the main deck. For the spells, he played triple copies of Hysteric Sign, followed by triple copies of Harpie's Hunting Ground. Then he played one copy of Elegant Egotist with three copies of Pot of Duality and three copies of Upstack Goblin. Alright, so that is it for the spell cards. Going into the trap lineup, Carlos was running three copies of Hysteric Party, followed by two copies of Icarus Attack, three copies of Reckless Greed, with two copies of Fiendish Chain, one Bottomless Chop Hole, one Torrential Tribute, and one Solemn Warning. And that rounds out his trap lineup. Then we're going to go into the extra deck. And we have one Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, followed by two copies of Lightning Chidori, two copies of Ice Beast Zero Fine, one copy of Queen Dragoon Djinn, one copy of Abyss Dweller, one copy of Diamond Direwolf, one copy of Evil Sworn Exciton Knight, one copy of Evil Sworn Ouroboros, one copy of Gaga Cowboy, one Mecha Fan Beast Draco Sack, one number 11 Big Eye, one number 74 The Master of Blades, and one copy of 101 The Silent Honor-Arc. There you go, ladies and gents. That is, I swear to you, the legit version of it. If you guys want the full list, you can check out Yu-Gi-Oh! You can check out the Law Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel, where he did release the deck list for it. As well, there was top Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks as well has it. I'm not sure if they have it for the Atlanta, I mean not Atlanta, but for the Latin American events or the South American events. But yeah, you can check out Law YGO, and he actually has the video to recap 2014 in the deck list for it if you need to. So, let's go over this. So, let's start off with the monsters in the main deck for this. And it starts off, of course, with the best starter in the Harpie deck, and that is Harpie Channeler. Discard a Harpie card to such a summon a Harpie monster from your deck, and while you control a dragon, her level will become 7. This is a very more oriented deck for setting up and then going off when you need to, especially because it's running Pot of Duality, Card D, which I thought were very strange choices. But I think the reason for this is just to build up into the pieces to protect your card, especially your monsters, to then deal with anything that your opponent would throw at you. It's a really good strategy for Harpie because of the fact that Harpie does not have a great standing ovation or standing lineup when it comes to starting off as it does. I would say now it does, but there's a lot of issues that regards itself there. However, I feel like when it comes to Harpies back in maybe 2014, 2015, we had a lot of the edge of things that we wanted, or the setup for things that we needed. Just that as a lot of power plays, and I wish we did have a couple of more monsters, or maybe a couple of more supportive cards, than just the 3 one-offs from Lord of Tachyon, and then giving us the one-off in Joey's World at that point. Weren't bad. It was just that could we at least get some more things instead of just massive reprints of stuff we already have. Harpie Queen comes in next. Discard her for your search for Harpie's hunting ground, but then also plays into the 1900 beat stick, because remember at this time there were still those places of having these high level monsters to help you out with getting rid of things, these low level monsters with high attack stats to get over things, and then to be present for situations that were needed, to where if you had to beat down, Harpies has a great beat down package, and Harpie Queen definitely adds to that. And then another thing is that Harpie Queen does set up for Hysteric Party, as it's a way for her to be a target for the card's effect once she hits the graveyard. Next up is Cyber Harpie Lady, another beat stick to the deck. And with Cyber Harpie Lady and Harpie Lady 1, who I'm going to put down here, these two are your targets for Elegant Egotist. Now, at that point in time, Elegant Egotist was only ran at 1. Some people were deciding to run 2, just so that they have more consistency. They could see the Egotist more if they didn't see the sign. As opposed to combo stuff really didn't start off till the later half of 2014. So you were really playing a lot of stall out. You were really playing a lot of bait and switch. Which is crazy though, because Swallow's Nest would have been a great addition to this build, just because you can swap out the Harpies for another Harpie, or you can start playing around with Barrier Statue. But I don't think we really started playing with Barrier Statue till literally, I think when Ties of the Brethren came out in the TCG. So it is a lot to unpack with older Harpie builds, but I'm telling you, these older Harpie builds definitely have some sting to them because of a lot of utility that it had. For your targets for Elegant Egotist, ironically enough, you running either a combination of Cyber Harpie Lady to Harpie Lady 1s. You're running either the full set of the Cyber Harpie, or you're running the full set of the Harpie Lady 1. Simply because you aren't allowed to run the mix match, and you couldn't run more than the 3 of, because they're always treated as that same monster. So, yeah, it does limit you on that, but it does give you some range of things if you wanted to. Do you want the full beat stick, or do you just want the simple 100 attacker? It's up to you. Next is Harpie Dancer as a 2 of, and it's just simply because you have enough names and you're flexing out the names for your Hysteric Party, for your Hysteric Sign, and just setting up for the plays that you'll need later on. She's a great returner for your other Harpies to put them back into the hand and then put them back on the board with Hunting Ground, because at this point in time, decks were still heavy spell and heavy trap. So because there was very few who were running MST, there are a lot of clauses to massive traps being in the back row. There were still battle traps being played. Harpie Dancer definitely helped Harpies get over a lot of that. Then we have Harpie's Pet Dragon, whose simple purpose in the deck was only to be a card to flesh out with Harpie Channeler. Outside of that, this is basically the Garnet of the Harpies, because no one was playing Harpie Lady Sisters, because there really wasn't much of a need, and at that point, Dragon was pretty much your only big summon. And then we have Card D. Card D was a very odd choice, I'm not gonna lie. But I can understand some of the purpose of why Card D is here, and that's simply just because, like I said, Harpies don't have a really good starting game. So you really do have to rely on what offensive and defensive setups can your deck have to then help you fluctuate things for later on. One of the things that can be fluctuated on is your massive amount of spells and traps that can utilize. Because he did cite in stuff like Mirror Force, Deep Prison, an extra Fiendish Chain or two, mistakes and stuff like that. So if you have to flesh out a lot of your core pieces, or you have to lure out some cards like Effect Veiler, then you definitely can do that with Card D. And then you just toss him to the wayside for things, Tribute Summoner, stuff like that. But yeah, that is basically just it for the monsters. Then we're going to go on into the spells now. Just give me 1 second, because I have to be organized. Alright, so now going into the spells. Now the Harpie lineup of spell cards is definitely a big one, because there are a lot of pieces to it that you could easily utilize, because you have a ton of access to spells. But this one is less spell oriented than it looks. So it starts off with the triple hysteric sign. This is basically to help you flesh out your elegant egotist or be popped by Harpie's hunting ground, so that you can go get your 3 Harpie cards from the deck. While the pool was very limited at the time, the pool did expand in later years. Now, Harpie's hunting ground. Let's talk about our field spell. This is honestly one of the big reasons why Harpies did so well, was because we had the utilization of cards that we can pop on our own field, as well as popping the cards on our opponents. Not to mention that at that time, our opponents were definitely trying to play up a lot of their cards that they had, because they were heavily focused on back row and, having a lot of spells and traps to utilize things. While a lot of the more competitive decks weren't trying to do such, because there were decks that were still able to pop back row, Harpies take advantage of anything that they possibly could to utilize what we had. And definitely utilizing our hunting ground thanks to the new additions of our Harpie Dancer. Then we have the one lone elegant egotist, because, well, yeah, hysteric sign to retrieve it from the deck or grave. Drawing into it wouldn't have been a problem, because, we have the draw cards that we're going to be talking about, the search out cards that we're going to have in just a moment. But it was a lot of things to really just flesh out this elegant egotist. Speaking of which, were the Upside Goblin in the Pot of Duality. Now, outside of that, elegant egotist real targets were only between the Harpie ladies, that were always Harpie lady, and then Harpie lady sisters. No one was running sisters, and there was still a lot of conversation of people wanting to run more than one Harpie, one more elegant egotist, to do more flesh out, to do more combos. Now with that, Upside Goblin, of course, the joke of the, 37 card deck. And in Pot of Duality is a very weird choice, but if, like I said, Harpies had a big struggle of trying to set up, so maybe that's why Carlos did the Pot of Dualities to flesh out those pieces, so that way he can play around with the pieces that he can get for the offensive plays for next turn. Shut down your opponent during their turn, and then pop stuff when you need it to be popped, so that you don't waste your hunting ground. Alright, that is it for the spells. Now we're going to move on into the trap cards. And of course, we start off with Hysteric Party. Basically, fleshing out your graveyard for all your Harpies that are in it, to then be able to massively summon this board full of Harpie monsters, and be able to destroy spells and traps with, just run the board with all these big D-sticks. You have Harpies. Yes, Harpie Queen, Cyber Harpie Lady. Harpie Lady 1 to give the attack boost. And then you just poke at your opponent, or you go into your Massive Exceeds and link into your Massive Exceed plays. Link plays for later on, of course, our lovely Synchro monster and Link monster. But, the basis of Heart Hysteric Party was get that big swarm, get that big setup. Icarus Attack. Love Icarus Attack. Icarus Attack was basically another way to flesh out things. Did you guys know Icarus Attack was actually semi-limited for a period of time? That was because of Blacklings, and how much Blacklings did love to rely on Icarus Attack to get themselves out of some jams, or to get out of their own pieces, to then be able to, rush in for game. with a lot of cards still not, with a lot of back rows still being played and Heavy Storm being banned at the time, excuse me, you definitely did rely on Icarus Attack to help with some more problematic things. In case you, I don't know, got Secret Village of Spellcasters at some weird running point. I don't think that was ever a cause thing, because Spellcasters weren't really being fun after the whole hit to Spellbooks, so yeah. Then we have Reckless Greed. Like I said, with Pot of Duality and Upside Goblin, a lot of draw power, a lot of heavy search out, and just trying to get to your pieces as fast as possible. Fiendish Chain to lock out monster effects. Solemn Warning to deal with special summons. Torrential Tribute and Bottomless Trap Hole as another means of massive board wipe, if need be. These won't hurt you, especially not Torrential, because you can just Hysteric Party back your monsters. But Bottomless is definitely going to hurt your opponent, because the 1500 or more are not going to go to grave. They're going to get banished. So, alright, that is it for the traps. Then we go into the extra deck. First off is, of course, the ever-faithful servant in its Exceed form. Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon. Easily set up with a lot of your combo pieces to get into your your monsters that need the massive material. Great for defending your Harpies from being attacked by battle or being targeted by card effect. Swings in at your opponent for that 2K. And you have a lot of utilization of things. Then we have Lightning Chidori to help out with removing set cards as well as bouncing back cards if need be. Ice Beast Zero Fine, what an amazing card. She was a very big staple for the Harpie archetype. She shuts down she shuts down your opponent from activate good cards that are already on their side of the field, and she's getting 300 attack for every card that's on the field present, so that's even more attack power, and she's just a really good swing in for game type of monster, and Harpies loved her. Queen Dragoon Djinn to have one big purpose, to pick up Harpie's Pet Dragon from the graveyard if he ended up being in the graveyard. That is literally it. Or she can change Harpie Channeler to level 7, because there's a dragon present on the board. So you take your advantages from there. Abyss Dweller to deal with the graveyard. Diamond Dire Wolf as a way to pop cards, if need be. Evil Sworn Exciton Knight. If you can afford him at that time, he was a great help to massively wipe out the board, especially chaining to things. Or especially when you're at, my opponent has more cards than I do situations, which tends to happen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Then we have Evil Swarm Ouroboros, a monster who was able to be Trishula in Exceed form, banishing a card from the hand. Oh no, it's not banishing a card from the hand, is it? No. Return a card on the field to the hand, then sending a random card from your opponent's card to the hand, or then taking a card in your opponent's graveyard and banishing it. While basically, yeah, a Trishula in form of more than one. Then we have the Cowboy for that 800 points of damage if you need to go in for that. Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack, another popular staple for the Harpies. When you have your dragon accessible, make the 2 tokens, start popping with the tokens, you have a monster that they can't really beat over. Big Eye to steal your opponent's monsters. Master of Blades, a definitely good extension for the Harpies, because it was able to redirect to stop cards from targeting, and then negating their activation, and then being able to destroy something on the field. What an amazing piece. Especially how cheap it was, because people were pulling this left and right. So if you couldn't afford the Big Eye or the Draco Sack, you had a monster to counteract Big Eye and Draco Sack. Then we have 101 Silent Honor Arc, who's the last of the monsters in the extra deck, and basically just still no opponent's monsters that was special summon, make it its own material, and then just be a viable wall. So, with that said and done, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the retro deck profile for Harpie. Shoutouts to Carlos for his victory during 2014. Your amazing help out to many of Harpie players at that time. This was a very amazing race, and I am still looking for more Harpie decks from 2015, 16, 17, and 18. So, you know, if you guys have any of those lists, let me know. Send me some links. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel as it helps out tremendously. Hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload more content to the channel. My social media links are in the description box below. And with that said and done, thank you guys so much for watching. HPJ signing out. Take care.